I started learning English in 2020 and became fluent within 6 months. I made a lot of mistakes in that time period. I followed methods that didn't really work for me. I practiced my English the wrong way. I didn't have a proper plan or goal, and so much more. I am making this video to make sure you don't make the same mistakes so that you learn English faster than I did. So here are the 7 things I would do to learn English within 6 months if I started today from zero. The first one is have a clear goal. Whenever someone asks me for language learning advice, whenever one of my students or friends asks me, Asim, how do I learn English? I always tell them, start with why. Ask yourself, why are you learning English? This is so important. It will save a lot of time for you. I am currently learning a little bit of Japanese. My goal with it is to understand animes without subtitles, right? So I only do listening. I only focus on listening. I don't do reading. I don't learn grammar. I don't practice speaking. I don't write because my goal is to understand animes without subtitles. And also, I don't need to learn hiragana, which are like Japanese alphabets. If I were to learn Japanese like normal people would, then I would just, first start with the hiragana, the alphabets, and then I would learn some grammar, and then I would learn the basics. But now I just started listening directly, and it saved me a lot of time. So if I were to start learning English from today, I would ask myself these questions. Why am I learning English? What's my goal with it? What would I like to get out of English? The second step is don't study grammar. Learning grammar from like grammar books or learning grammar in school is actually a waste of time. It's not going to help you improve your English. And if I were to start learning English today, I would completely skip grammar. Do you know why? Because we learn grammar naturally, like the way native speakers learn. Think about it, like American kids, they don't study grammar rules like noun and pronoun and adjectives. They don't study those rules. They just learn grammar naturally by being in the environment of that language. So you have to do the same with English. You need to surround yourself with English all the time, and then you will learn grammar eventually, naturally, without you actually studying it. My advice for you is collect all of your grammar books, put them on top of each other, and burn them all because you're never gonna need them unless you want to study for exams. The third step is make a routine for yourself. I see a lot of English learners struggle with consistency. They say, how do I stay consistent? How do I make sure I'm learning English every single day? The way you do that is by building a schedule and a routine. It's easy to make big claims like, oh, I'll learn English, I'll speak English like British people or American people. But if you don't make a routine for it, it's never gonna happen. Your goals are the results of the daily actions that you take. If you have a lot of free time, like you are on a summer vacation or something, and you don't have to do a lot of things, then you can study English all day basically. And it's gonna improve your English a lot. Like within a few months, you will be fluent. But for most busy people, I would recommend you to study English every day from 2 hours to 4 hours. Personally, I spend a lot of time learning English because first, I was in school, I didn't have a job, so I had a lot of free time on my hand. And second, learning English was like very fun and enjoyable for me because I had friends and I was doing this whole learning English thing. It was like one of my hobbies. So schedule some time for English. It doesn't have to be like 8 hours or 10 hours. Like 2 to 4 hours are fine. And also, it doesn't have to be like 4 hours straight. Like, you don't need to sit in the morning and study English for 4 hours straight. You don't have to do that. You can study for an hour in the morning, and then during lunch break, you can, do some listening. And in the afternoon and in the evening, you can practice your speaking for an hour or two. And that's going to be enough. The next step is to listen to podcasts. I did that already in my English learning journey a lot. Basically, on my way to school, which was like 40 minutes by bus, I would put on my earpods and I would listen to podcasts in English. So that was useful. But I wish I had done it more because it's so amazing. We learn a language by being in the environment of that language, as we said before. When you're listening, when you're consuming English, you're basically learning grammar rules naturally. you're learning pronunciation, you're learning how people pronounce words, and also you're learning new words and vocabulary. So basically, listening helps you a lot with your fluency and also with other things as well related to English. The reason why I recommend podcasts for listening is because they're long. So the more you listen, the better it is for your listening skills. And second, you can multitask with podcasts. So basically, you can cook while listening to podcasts, or you can walk, or when you travel by bus, you can put on your AirPods and listen to podcasts. You can do them everywhere basically. If you're looking for some recommendations, then I would recommend you to check out Luke's English podcast. It's great for English learners, believe me. The next step is to practice with an advanced English speaker. As you already know, practice makes perfect. The mistake I made and a lot of other English learners make as well is that they practice their speaking with someone who has lower English level than them or the same English level as them. That's okay, I'm not completely against it. But if you want faster progress, if you want to improve your English very fast, you need to talk to someone who can give you feedback. You need to talk to someone who has higher English level than you. This is the difference between someone who becomes fluent in English in 6 months and someone who becomes fluent in English in 3 months. The only people who can give you feedback and correct your mistakes and help you improve your English fast is advanced English learners. So find them and practice your English speaking with them. Considering how important feedback is, I started doing one-on-one coaching calls with my students. Basically, I have a conversation with them. I listen to them, I analyze their English and correct their mistakes. I give them tips and feedback on how they can get better. If you're interested in learning from me, then click the first link in the description below and book a one-on-one meeting with me. Moving on to the next step, which is to learn 10 words every single day. Languages are made of sentences and sentences are made of words. The more words you know, the more fluent and smooth your conversations will be. When I was learning English, I was learning like 5, 6 or 7 words every single day. But now that I think about it, I could have learned more words. I could have learned 10 new words every single day. It's not that difficult and it doesn't take much time, like probably 20 minutes to learn 10 new words every single day. The way I used to learn vocabulary and new words was that whenever I would listen to podcasts and I would come across a word that I didn't know before, I would write it down in a small notebook or on a piece of paper or something, because if you don't write the word down, you kind of forget about it. During the day, whenever I would have some free time, I would look up that word in Cambridge Dictionary. It would give me the definition of that word. I would learn it, I would understand what the word means, and then during my practice session, during my conversations in English, I would try to use that word as much as I could so that I remember it better. You can try the same method to learn 10 new words every single day. You will improve fast. The next thing I would do to learn English within 3 months if I started today, I would focus on pronunciation. I knew this from the start that pronunciation was very important because it's easier to understand someone who has bad grammar but amazing pronunciation than someone who has great grammar but terrible pronunciation. If two people came to me, one with amazing grammar but terrible pronunciation, and the other one with bad grammar but amazing pronunciation, I would choose to talk with the second one. Always. If I have convinced you enough to improve your pronunciation, then here is how to do it. When you're listening to podcasts or watching YouTube videos, pay attention to how native speakers pronounce words. Pay close attention to which syllables and words they stress and which ones they don't. Pay attention to how they connect two words. The second thing is to practice pronouncing those words the exact same way you heard from native speakers through listening. You will make pronunciation mistakes every now and then. That's totally fine. You will improve and get better over time, but you really need to start focusing on it. I wish I had known these things when I was learning English. I would have improved a lot faster. Alright, if you enjoyed this video, then you might like that video as well, in which I shared a 4-step system that will make you fluent in English fast. Okay, I hope this lesson was helpful. See you in the next one.